Hey everybody, what is up? It's Cory Camp and Brian McGill coming back to you at this Valentine's Day edition of What's Up Wednesday. Cory, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Brian. I think we've had kiddos sick in my household, so I don't think we're going to get a date night. So this is as fancy as I'm getting the rest of this week, I think. So happy Valentine's Day. You look like you are in a great location today. I would like to be where you are right now. Looks pretty cool.
Well, I'm celebrating Valentine's Day all week, kind of like Charlie Brown of sorts. I try to share the love all the time, but especially this week. We've got a lot of things kind of going on in Pittsburgh. Some of my friends are getting together, just kind of for happy hours and stuff. But even the Rivers Club, where I stay and I co-work at, they are having a nice Valentine's Day social. And what I like about that, specifically for me, since I don't have a date, that I can buy tickets individually, and doesn't matter whether we have a date or not. They don't really discriminate per se.
Watch out, ladies. Brian's going single and ready to mingle. I love it. Well, that's awesome.
So anyways, we got some really we got some exciting things. We got some really wacky weather going on the West Coast. We got some nice some snow, and that's kind of causing some of our dogs to kind of get into some of the fun. Check out how cool it would be to have a dog that can bring you your sled or entertain you sledding down the street, down the hill. I mean, why couldn't I rescue that dog?
I know. I know. Yeah. Yeah. That, you shared that video earlier this week on Facebook, and we tried to get we have a Labradoodle, Jack. We tried to get him to ride the sled, and he lasted about 3 seconds, but we got our first real snow here in central Ohio for the winter so far. So we were excited that we got to go out and use our sleds, and my son likes to run and jump on his sled, so we get him the cheap ones because he's going to break them almost every time. But yeah, we had a lot of fun sledding. The weather has been kind of crazy, up and down, and wet and cold. And I know our guests down in Texas, they've been dealing a lot with a lot of wet and cold weather as well. We're all kind of feeling it. So we're going to introduce them in a minute. But before we do, what's up in the world of Sibme for you? You've got some more conferences coming up. Yeah.
Well, we've got a busy couple of weeks. Obviously, late in February, we'll be at the AACTE conference in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got a number of our subscribers that will be there. And then we'll also be at the ASCD conference in Los Angeles. We have a presentation with our good friends at Neal Middle School in Durham, North Carolina. They're coming on the show in a couple of weeks. We're really excited to get them in an interview. Yeah. So anyways, get excited. The road show keeps carrying on. So
yeah. Definitely follow us. Yeah. On the road show and check it out. I don't have anything really new. I've been working on a bunch of background projects. We're working on starting to create even more content. That's been my big focus this school year, is putting out content. We've got our learning center up and running. We just released the student teaching and video course. I'm working on the PLC course, but we're also working with one of our premier coaches, Kelly Pittman. She's been on the Sibme Coach Replay show a couple of times. She's going to start helping us produce some content related to each of the webinars that we do. So we've got a webinar coming up on video coaching, and she's going to be producing some really cool stuff out of that. So I've been working on getting everything ready for that, but I just have to share, for just like a mom moment for just a second. My 7-year-old just brought this gem home from celebrating their 100 days. This is her when she's 100. It's perfect. And she looks just like her amazing great grandmother who we just lost a couple of weeks ago. But
check out that sweater.
I know. I'm like, look at you with the fashion. And look at all like her eyes. It's perfect. I loved it. That's gonna go in her memory box for sure. But yeah, So we're over the hump of the first 100 days of the school year this past couple of weeks, and we're ready to rock and roll. We're well into the second semester. So I'm really excited to share with everybody our guests. We're going to be talking today about shifting from leadership feedback to more peer feedback. Oh, I don't know what happened with my slide here. To peer-based feedback. So we have our special guests, Lisa Bertrand and Jennifer Harless from Magnolia Intermediate in Magnolia, Texas, my hometown. Welcome, ladies.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, us too. So, and I was just telling us just before the show why I'm excited about this. You know, we have many districts, many campuses, when they start using video enhanced professional learning, whether that's through coaching or they're wanting to do it through the PLCs that they're leading, it tends to be, and it makes most sense for the leadership team to kind of set the stage for that, begin being the ones giving and modeling the feedback in those environments, our huddles, as we call them. And but then pretty shortly after that, there becomes this desire to make it more autonomous so it can be better scaled, because we're busy as instructional leaders, and we really want our teachers to own this, right? So this is it's about professional learning, which should be happening. It's job embedded. It should be happening every day. It shouldn't be waiting for a chance for me to come in and record you and then leave you feedback, right? And that's a hard transition, right? When we're no longer the ones going in and taking that initiative and being the first ones to kind of put those reflective questions out there, shifting to that peer-based feedback can be kind of hard. So that's what we're talking about today, is how your campus has successfully done that from last year, your first year using Sibme, to this year. So Brian, I'll let you kick us off with the first question today.
Well, talk to us a little bit about how you got started with utilizing video last year.
Okay, so last year we was our first year to use Sibme, and we decided to introduce the program in waves. So we started with a small group of teachers, and then the next 9 weeks we brought in more teachers. And that's kind of how we went through the process. We didn't want to overwhelm our staffs or ourselves, because we were a brand new campus last year, and we were serving 1,000 to 1,200 students. And so we were just trying to make that happen and Sibme happen at the same time. And so that's kind of how we went in waves, and we got all teachers involved, including ourselves, in learning this new program. And then Jennifer, do you want to?
Yeah, we asked teachers to record at least one video a month and submit their recording to a coaching huddle that had one of the campus leaderships attached to it. And then each one had a different focus or purpose. And they were asked to watch their video and make at least 3 comments, and then we would turn around and watch it and reply to some of those comments. A few of the groups that were ready to go to that next step made collaboration huddles with their teaching teams, but they weren't required to do that. It was if they were ready to move to that stage.
Yeah. And again, that's typically kind of how it looks, right? So if we're not doing this in just one-on-one coaching huddles, we're doing this in those collaborative spaces where I, as the instructional leader, I'm kind of facilitating that conversation. I'm the one who kind of keeps it going and gets it started and keeps it moving along. So this year you transitioned. What does it look like this year? And I just want to tell the audience, we just met for your mid-year review a month or so ago, and we looked at the data, and really your data has been consistent last year to this year. You've actually gone up in a few areas, like the number of comments and the numbers of videos viewed, even though it's not being managed in the way that you did last year. So tell us a little bit about how it looks this year and what you've attributed to your successful transition from that leadership-led to teacher-led.
So obviously we made some changes, and some of the changes were not just, we did change who they were in huddles with to make it more meaty for them. Teacher-led to make them buy into that. But also the length of time. We really went for a full lesson, and now we just go to like 10, 15 minutes look at what 10, 15 minutes, and we're looking at a specific thing. So the expectations for the feedback kind of changed. And Jennifer, if you want to.
The teachers are partnered with 1 or 2 team members this year. One of the admin team is a part of the huddle too, so that we can, keep the conversation moving if it ever gets stalled or whatever it may be. But now, instead of it being just coach to teacher, it's peer, teacher to teacher feedback. It's typically someone on their team or someone of the same content, whether it be a grade level up or down. And then the videos, like Lisa said, went from being about 30, 45 minutes to being more manageable with about right around 10 minutes or less. We felt that 30 to 45 minutes was very hard for anyone to commit to sitting down and watching someone else's video at that time. But I can give 5 to 10 minutes to watching my own video or someone else's video and providing some feedback on that. The purpose of the videos matches a major campus initiative that is not just a focus for Sibme, but also basically just everything that we do. And it includes a rubric, which really has helped with the feedback for the teachers. They feel that they have a guide for how to provide some of that feedback for themselves and as a reply to their peer. And then we, instead of doing one, because we did shorten the videos, instead of doing 1 per month, they're now doing somewhere between 2 and 3 each month, or they can obviously choose to do more. We still do have some of the collaboration huddles happening in addition to the peer-to-peer coaching groups or collaboration groups. So that's really good because we have some teams that are made up of new teachers. And so it gives them the opportunity to see the same part of how it looks different in each classroom. And then I think that the teacher still watches their video first and makes comments. And one thing that we did transition a little bit was when you watch your own video, ask a question of the other viewers and get it prompted the feedback from the replies and the feedback from the other people in the huddle.
Yeah. And there's a couple of best practices that we can pull out of that description for this year that you've talked about, right? So definitely shorter, more focused, more meaningful videos, more manageable, right? That equals manageable for me being the person who's recording and then watching and putting a few comments in there, but also for the rest of the members of that group who are going to be watching that person's video. So, I'm more likely to sit down and watch a shorter video, whether it's mine or someone else's. And I'm also more likely to give not just feedback, but specific feedback, more focused feedback that's more meaningful, right, for the receiver.
Right. Professional learning is important to all teachers, but they have so much on their plate, 30 to 45 minutes in addition to what they already have and have already done. It's a large commitment.
And I think having the teachers ask the question of their own video out to peers made a huge impact because then they're asking their peers for feedback.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say, Lisa. Yeah, it's hard when we're doing peer-to-peer feedback, right? So when it's leadership led, that's your job, right? As the academic coordinator, as the campus administrator, as the instructional coach, you're supposed to be prompting me to think about these things. And so I expect that from you. I expect you to ask me questions. But there's some worry on both ends, both the receiver and the giver, when it's a peer thinking, well, who am I? I've only been teaching for a year and you've been teaching for 5. Who am I to ask you these questions? Or what if you get offended? What if I step on your toes? I don't know what you're wanting me to give you feedback on. So I'm just going to stay quiet until someone else mentions it or you ask for it. So that's one of the big things that we recommend as well, is to encourage that, starting with self-reflection, keeping it there. That's the power of video anyway, right? It's not that other people are seeing me or that my coach is seeing me. It's that I see me. That's where we start. And then, giving that, hey, here's where I'd like to seek feedback. Now I've opened the door for that collegial partnership and that conversation to happen. So I'm just curious, what are some of the things that your teachers are asking questions about? What are they? And it sounds like they're probably tied to those focuses for each of those groups that are tied. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the, for example, one teacher recorded a small group focusing on the conversation between two students. And her question to her partner was, what suggestions would you have for me to when I check in with them, that would help me move their thinking and their conversation to that deeper level of understanding?
Oh, I love that.
A fifth grade teacher asking a sixth grade teacher of the same content, how do you help them dig in deeper? And so it opened the door for that team to really get into an instructional strategy conversation.
Right. And that vertical alignment, right? To make sure that, because we have that across from grade level to grade level. I either didn't go deep enough this year, or,
Right.
I went a little bit too far, and I missed an important part where I was supposed to kind of, it's that stay in my lane and make sure that my lane has a good shoulder width that it can move into the next year. So I love that. Brian, how about you? Any questions or thoughts there?
I think it's great to see this kind of transformation to collaboration across the campus. I think this is exactly what we got into this for, and it's going to improve your outcomes in many ways. So it's really exciting, very exciting for me here.
Yeah. So are you finding that your teachers are able to make more? Do you feel like the professional learning is happening on a more frequent basis now because of some of these changes and the video? Yeah.
So we do bi-monthly or every other week learning walks. And that's where Jennifer leads teachers with the rubric, and they go into other teachers' rooms. And I think everybody's just more comfortable. Mm-hmm. Because we have teachers sign up. It's voluntary basis. And we usually have how many?
About 15 to anywhere between 15 and 18 teachers every other week.
So then they're used to giving that feedback because they give it on the Sibme video. It's just an open culture. It's all about culture.
Yeah.
And how we do that as a school, then they're comfortable putting themselves on video, because it's kind of scary to put yourself on video and put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is
easier to do.
Yeah, I think having those two things working with each other and having a very similar focus with both of those, they see the value and the changes that can be made in their own instruction every time that we do it. And I think seeing the value in what they're doing is really, that's, if you can get that, you kind of win the game. So
yeah. Well, and again, I want to note out for our viewers how intentional you are with this, that video's not just one more thing on your campus. It goes right along what you're already doing. It's connected to your district's rubric and some of your bigger initiatives. It's all you're connecting all the dots, which part of the problem with our sit and gets or our like once a month kind of meetings is it can feel disassociated from those things. Like, it's like, oh, here's another new thing that we need to be doing. And we don't get much opportunity to connect that to the things we've already been doing and see how it's enhancing or strengthening that. So I think that the way that you've structured the collaborative feedback and you've paired that with the things that you've already got going on, that's been really helpful.
Absolutely.
So I'd like you've already really told us the expectations and structures, but could you just kind of outline those for us again, as far as the frequency, the length of video, what that, especially if you have any like discussion stems or rubrics or any of those things that you're using, can you outline those for us again?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they, teachers are expected to submit a video every other week. No more than 10 minutes or around 10 minutes. If you're in a really great spot and it goes to 11, that's okay. They use the rubric that goes along with our district and campus initiative to help support the vision or the lens to look at their video. And then they also use some of our other campus initiatives to help guide any of that conversation. What else?
The teachers are asked to form a question. That the teachers that are videoing themselves are asked to form a question off the rubric pertaining to, we're looking at rigor and relevance in our district. That's our district-wide initiative. And so they're asked to talk about the rigor of the lesson, just ask about what they thought about that and have someone feed back onto them what they thought of it. So that really is, I think, one of the most helpful spots, because teachers are asking a question at a rubric. The other teacher also has the rubric. She can comment, I saw this, I didn't see this. Could you do this? So they have that in front of them. Everybody has that in front of them.
Yeah.
And again, it matches very similar to what we do in learning walks. So to then transition it over to the conversation using the video is really not that much of a difference for them, and the conversation can still continue even when it days.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Brian?
I mean, that is just so impressive to see how much, collegial partnership is going on your campus. This is essentially this is why we got into this. I said this earlier, but I mean, we wanted to make learning at work so much easier. And when you pair a solution like Sibme with a plan and process like y'all have, I mean, it just lights the fire. So tell me, what do you see that's next for your program? Because this is very advanced work.
We've been thinking about that. And next year, we plan to implement campus challenges that will change with each recording. So one set of week, we might ask about our deeper DOK. The next week, we might ask you to be thinking about something different.
How many higher level questions are you asking in your 10-minute period? Maybe record a group of students working with an activity, and then ask your partner how you can deepen that conversation or learning, similar to what that one group did last month. And then I think the other one of the big next steps for us is to continue expanding our campus library so that we have more and more examples of just great teaching practices.
Yeah, in your video library. I think that's awesome. And I love that having a different kind of focus or challenge each month, which gets them to, sometimes we get stuck in a lens, which is a great lens, right? Maybe I'm still working. I haven't quite gotten to the level I want with my level of, depth of knowledge and my questioning, but it can be refreshing, a great brain break sometimes to just take a different spin at it. Put the camera.
That's
absolutely
what we've noticed is they kind of get stuck on the same question. And so that's why next year we're going to expand and have them look at different lenses.
I love it. And you can really match that with your kind of scope and sequence throughout the calendar year, right? So the beginning of the year, you're looking at classroom procedures. And so it can still feel that meaningful piece. I love it. That's great. That's great. Brian, anything else?
You guys want to go to any conferences this summer?
Brian's our recruiter for all of our amazing conference sessions that we.
I have some ideas I think that you're ready for. So I'll talk to you about that later. Thank you for joining us for our What's Up Wednesday. This was a very enlightening conversation. I enjoyed our conversation today. This is some, obviously the folks are using Sibme at a high level. It's really great to hear about it. And it's really great to hear how it seems like leadership is getting distributed across your team of teachers, and your teachers are kind of driving practice. And that was the vision of autonomy, mastery, and purpose. The reason the founder Dave Wakefield and his wife and all of the initial founders got into Sibme, and you guys are a great case. I like it. So
thank y'all for having us.
Yes, we'll see you again soon. And I'm coming to Magnolia soon. My mom keeps asking me when. I'm going to come by and say hi. So I'll come and visit and check out the new campus, because you're on a new campus, right?
It's
new last year. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, ladies. Thanks again
Thank
for
you.
being on our show. We'll see you soon.
See you
Thanks.
soon. Bye.
Happy Valentine's Day.
All right, Brian, here we go. You ready for our shout outs this week? We've got some good ones.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Do it. We're focusing on our higher ed, 2 of our higher ed customers and partners this week. So University of Arkansas, this is one of my favorite higher ed groups just because it's been something I've really been focusing on a lot throughout my career as a special educator, but really just in general, I've really been having some great conversations with people about how video can increase our awareness of equity practices within the classroom. And so the University of Arkansas has an Academy for Educational Equity. It's a master's program. I think it's a 2-year program, but they started using us in September. We met with them for their kickoff. And if you can take a peek at this little bitty graph here with lots of activity, these are tracking all these different colors are different things. From the blue is the user login, the orange are the videos shared to huddles and conversations and all of the metrics that you're able to track within your Sibme account. And you can just see that they've been tremendously active, especially in those huddles. So shout out to them. I know their program manager, their director has told Jenny just in their touch point last week that they've just been kind of playing around with video at this point. And so this semester, they're really going to see all that it can do with a lot more intention. So watch out for them because they've got some great things happening.
Way to go, Arkansas. Keep it up. Woo!
Yeah. Woo. Yeah, super excited about them. And then one of our favorites, you and I, Brian, Shawnee State University. So they've had some great data. And this is a typical, by the way, what we expect to see at a university level. Notice there's this kind of dip here, and this is in the month of December. So you kind of trend upwards as you get the semester started, really get going, and then winter break hits, and there's a little bit of a dip, and then you kind of come back into your courses. So we definitely expect to see those trends. But Shawnee State University has been doing some great stuff. And I know you work more closely with them. So can you tell us a little bit about what you know about what they're doing in their accounts?
It supports their observation and feedback strategy for teacher candidates in the field. And obviously, Ohio's going through the transition towards that TPA. So obviously, this is an example of a program that was future forward, and they're thinking that obviously this adds a lot of efficiency, but they're not required to submit video for Ed TPA yet at all. In fact, they just thought this was great. This was this was actually should be industry best practice, because this is how the next generation of teachers are going to want to learn. And obviously you can't take these you can't take it back from these students now because they love it. So way to go, Shawnee State. Congratulations on your hard work. I see it paying off for you all. And I'll see you guys at AACTE.
Yeah, there you go. Say hi to them for me. So next week we showed a few charts from what we call our touch points or our mid-year reviews. And so next week, Jenny Selfridge, the famous Jenny Selfridge, will be joining us for What's Up Wednesday to talk to us a little bit about how she's been supporting our customers, the things that we do on that customer journey that really makes us kind of stand out from the others. So excited to have her next week. Thanks again for joining us this week for What's Up Wednesday. Brian, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you, Cory. I'll see you out there. Looking forward to hearing from Jenny next week. She's got a lot of stories because she meets with everybody. She's helping everybody. So that's going to be a great, essentially a great discussion with her.
It is. All right, y'all. Have a great one.
See you out there.